Okay, hello everyone. I hope you're all doing well. Okay, so another type of primitive integer data type, okay, is what we've seen before, okay, is the type int. Okay, now we mentioned there are so many data types when you're there are so many data types you're going to get from users when you are writing your programs. Okay, talked about all kinds of we mentioned that Java has all kinds of data types, and numbers and strings. With numbers, we are narrowing down to integers. Okay, integers. There are four types of integer data types, and there are four types because each of them has its own range. Okay, so we've seen two already. The third one, okay, the third type of integer data type, primitive integer data type, is int. It's also primitive because it can only store a single value. It can't store complex values. Once you basically declare a variable of type int, or once you declare a variable of a type that is primitive, that variable can only store simple values. Okay, it can't store complex values like objects, which we'll talk about later on. Objects we'll talk about later on. But just know that it can only store simple values. Now the third one is called int itself. It's funny because we are talking about primitive integer data types, right? But the third category is int. Okay, although it has a name like int has like a name of an integer. It's a third category, and it also has its range, right? So we can declare a variable int and call it number, like we've seen before. Okay, and we can go ahead and initialize. But before we initialize it, let me just go ahead and specify its type here. So for an integer, I'm using a comment to explain now. For an integer, it has a range of, okay, so this is going to be long. It's basically -2 billion. I don't want to separate it with commas because I don't want you to get confused, because otherwise you try to some of you will probably try to initialize the values with commas separating them. So what I'll do is I'll just type it as it is. Okay, so it's basically -2 billion 147 million. That's the range. Okay, it starts from -2 billion 147 million 483,648. Okay, all the way to +2 billion 147 million 483,000 and then 647. So basically this is the range of an integer. You can store numbers in this range. Numbers in a range of -2 billion 147 million 483,648, and then all the way to +2 billion 147 million 483,647. So this is the range. It looks big, right? This is basically numbers you can store. Basically, if you're dealing with programs of numbers like this, then you'd have to declare the variable with the type integer. You're saying that, okay, I'm declaring a variable called number, and computer, please only allow numbers of type int to be stored in there. Okay, numbers in the range of this to be stored in there. All right, so that's the range of an integer. Oh, sorry, that's the range of an int. All right, so now we can declare this variable with values in the range of that. So we can just basically type in random values. I'm not sure if what I just typed is in the range, but let's try it out. Let's print out the value and see if we're going to get any errors. So system.out.println. Let's print out the value or what's stored in number. Compile this. Okay, so it's too large. Okay, so I didn't look. So now because this value it's outside the range of an int, it's saying integer number too large. Okay, meaning it's too large. We are outside the range of it. This is the range that it can store. Okay, so because the int value has a range of has this range, it's saying, okay, I can't store anything bigger than basically anything bigger than what I can store, right? It can't store this. So in order to store a value in a variable declared with a type int, then you'd have to store something in this range. So if let's just copy the last number with the max positive limit, paste it, compile this, and we see that, oops, what did I just do? Cannot find symbol print. Okay, so we cannot find the symbol print n. I meant to type in print ln and not print n. Okay, so when I compile this, now it has no problem. Okay, so print ln and not print n. Okay, print line. We talked about that in the previous video, so you can go back and see and go through it and make sure you understand it if you don't. Okay, so now we are declaring a variable, okay, with a value that's in the range of an int. When I change this to 48, I'm exceeding the upper limit here. So when I compile it, it says that number too large. It has to be in the right right range. It has to be in the range. It has to be a number that's in the range. So change this back to 47. It works. Let's change this to negative, basically this. And when we compile it, oops, put a negative sign in front of it. When I compile this, we can see that, and I run it, we can see it's able to store it here and it's able to print it. But when I try to go outside of it, let's say 649, and compile it, it says int number too large. Okay, basically it's outside the range of what an integer can store, and that's why it's complaining. All right, so that's the range of an int. We'll look at the last type of primitive integer data type in the next video. Okay, if you have any question, please comment down below and I'll do everything to respond to them. Thank you very much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time with the next video. All right then, bye bye.